A congressional investigation of nursing homes turns up some shocking conditions.
NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw.
Good evening. All of us, or almost all of us, know someone in a nursing home. And even under the best circumstances, there's always the worry, the guilt, that they're not being taken care of as they should be. There are 15,000 nursing homes in America taking care of 1.5 million people. And tomorrow, a congressional committee, after a 2-year investigation, will report that too many of them are in shocking condition. Tonight, NBC's Lisa Myers reports on what that committee has learned.
I know it's hell here.
It's that bad, huh?
It's that bad.
This was a surprise videotaped inspection of a federally certified nursing home by the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office.
We found her soiled with fecal material, and there's a horrendous odor.
Investigators also found patients with infected bed sores, with burns from being left on heating pads, patients who hadn't been bathed for weeks.
Until you see this with your own 2 eyes, it's hard to believe that this is being done deliberately. But believe it, it is being done deliberately. It's being done for profit.
12 years ago, a Senate Aging Committee investigation of nursing homes which received federal funds found squalid, often dangerous conditions. Today, that same committee reports that tens of thousands of Americans continue to receive grossly inadequate care, resulting in humiliation, suffering, and premature death. The committee charges that of 8,900 nursing homes, 34% are substandard, 11% grossly substandard, and 7% chronically grossly substandard.
Instead of decreasing, the number of violations of nursing home conditions is actually increasing and getting substantially and very alarmingly worse.
From 1982 to 1984, violations for failure to provide 24-hour nursing care, up 61%. Inadequate nutrition, up 92%. Abuse of patients, up 75%. Inadequate doctor's care, up 75%. Still, the nursing home industry insists most patients are safe.
While isolated problems exist in many states across the country, there is not a pervasive problem in terms of quality of care.
The odds of someone ending up in a grossly substandard nursing home are about 1 in 8. Frankly, that's a pretty big risk.
Dorothy Doyle had to take the risk. Her mother had Alzheimer's disease. She moved her from one substandard nursing home to another, which turned out to be worse.
My mother worked for 18 years for the telephone company. She worked hard, and that's not the kind of end people should have.
But because states enforce federal regulations haphazardly, and because those regulations emphasize paperwork rather than patient care, no quick solution is in sight. Some say the answer is to put owners of substandard nursing homes in jail. Lisa Myers, NBC News, Boston.
There are some encouraging signs in the national economy tonight. For the first quarter of this year, the gross national product grew at an annual rate of 3.7%. That's the most impressive growth rate in a year. At the same time, inflation was running at just 2.5%. That's the best showing for the inflation rate in almost 20 years now. The White House described these numbers as a reflection of the sustained strength of the economy, but private economists warn that during this quarter, the growth won't be as impressive because, among other things, a slowdown in automobile production in America. Also coming up here tonight, Mike Jensen tells us about the hard sell the airlines are giving trying to lure passengers onto overseas flights. Have they got a deal for you? And Noah Nelson takes us to a small town in Oregon where the residents have taken to advertising for new neighbors.
At Midas, we've always been proud of the job we do. A lot of our new customers are referred to us by our old ones.
Howdy, boys.
Welcome back, Mr. Creedy. You see, good service, good prices. The word gets around. Like our fantastic anniversary sale. We're giving you 25% off every Midas muffler. A sale like this doesn't come along every day.
Take it to Midas. I love a sale. Take it to someone you trust.
At Seiko, great technology inspires great design. Steel rods and gleaming hinges for a supple bracelet watch. Gold tone on gray tone for the definitive strap watch. A second hand on her elegant dress watch. Water resistant too. Very today. One diamond. And a rich two-tone setting. Very tonight. Man invented time. Seiko perfected it.
The Remington microscreen shaves as close to the blade or your money back. The first screen shaves incredibly close. The second even closer. And this rechargeable never needs a cord because its convenient charger stand keeps it continually charged. The Remington microscreen shaves as close as the blade or your money back. Now enter Remington's Going For It Travel Bonanza. Over $2 million in free travel prizes and travel discounts from United Airlines, Westin Hotels, and Hertz. Enter now.
President Reagan was forced today to make a major compromise in a foreign policy dispute with Congress, a multi-million-dollar arms sale package to Saudi Arabia. He persuaded the Saudis to drop their request for 800 shoulder-held Stinger anti-aircraft missiles. It's the most controversial part of the package. Opponents of the sale fear that terrorists might get their hands on these missiles. Senate Majority Leader Robert Dole said that because of this compromise, the president now believes that the arms package will be approved by Congress. One day after South Africa's biggest strike against suspected African National Congress guerrilla targets in 3 neighboring countries, there were new threats today. Threats of more sanctions against South Africa, threats by South Africa that it will strike again. And as NBC's Mike Betcher reports now, there was more trouble in South Africa itself.
A student demonstration at a liberal South African university protested against yesterday's attacks. Riot police using dogs tried to break up the demonstration. They arrested 6 students. After the police retreated, speakers condemned the raids as hopeless acts.
Trying to fight against oxygen.
Defiant in the face of worldwide condemnation, South Africa's president, P.W. Botha, told Parliament why the raids were carried out.
We will fight international terrorism in precisely the same way as other Western countries, despite the sanctimonious protests of the guardian of international terrorist movements, the United Nations.
The attacks seem to highlight the deep divisions in South African society.
I think it's a bad timing because, there are people here who are trying to solve some problems.
We'll attack them again, I'm bloody sure. I think it's a tragedy.
South Africa's other deep divisions were painfully apparent in the burning Crossroads black squatters camp outside Cape Town. A war is raging here between a youth faction and mobs of older men. Both want to run this squalid camp. All the signs of a conventional battle zone are here. Smoldering homes, soldiers, Red Cross soup lines, helpless refugees fleeing the camp and clinging to their few possessions. At least 16 people have died. Some were murdered with the necklace, a burning tire placed around the victim's neck. Dozens have been injured. Nearly 1,000 shacks have burned to the ground. 10,000 people are homeless.
Yesterday's strikes provided only a small diversion from the real battlegrounds of southern Africa, the townships. Mike Betcher, NBC News, Crossroad Township, South Africa.
Thousands of South Korean students held violent anti-government campus protests today at Seoul National University. A battle between students and riot police was triggered when a student set himself on fire and jumped to his death from a campus building. Several students were injured when the police fought back after being pelted with rocks and gasoline bombs. The protest also took on an anti-American tone. The Soviet Union today named Yuri Dubinin as its new ambassador to the United States. A former ambassador to Spain, the 56-year-old career diplomat has been Moscow's chief representative at the United Nations for the past 2 months. Dubinin is fluent in Spanish, but he speaks little English, and he is considered an inflexible hardliner, according to U.S. officials. These same officials said they were surprised by the Dubinin selection. U.S. government prosecutors gave no indication today whether they plan to act on a request by CIA Director William Casey to file charges against NBC News. As NBC's law correspondent Carl Stern reports now, the case involves a man accused of spying and what he might have given the Soviet Union.
Today's newspaper headline told the story. CIA Director William Casey again threatening prosecution of a news agency for talking about intelligence operations. At issue this time, a report on NBC's Today Show about a spy trial. Ronald Pelton, who worked for the National Security Agency, is accused of selling secrets to the Russians, which NBC said might include details of a submarine eavesdropping program codenamed Ivy Bells. A law passed during the Korean War bars descriptions of intelligence techniques. The law has been cited in warnings to news agencies several times now by Casey, but a lawyer for the news media says the law has never been applied to the press.
It would be unprecedented in American history to apply this criminal law to the press. We don't have an Official Secrets Act in this country, never have had up to this point, and I think trying to apply this law to the press would essentially do that.
Facts about this submarine operation have been known for years. It was described in the news media in 1975. It was discussed a year ago in 2 books, whose author says Casey is complaining about things that aren't secret at all.
It's been known, at least publicly since 1975, that the United States was conducting these type of operations. They were then known as Hollystone operations and involved going into Soviet harbors like Vladivostok to intercept signals and to take photographs of the underside of Soviet ships.
At the CIA today, Casey would not be interviewed. NBC News said it was studying the matter. The former top lawyer for the National Security Agency, Daniel Silver, did comment.
I find it very hard to believe that the Justice Department actually will prosecute NBC News. I think most people perceive it as a certain amount of bluster with a hope, if not an intent, that the press will be more careful in the future.
A Justice Department official said the department agrees with Casey that leaks are a problem, but it disagrees that prosecuting the press is a way to solve it. Carl Stern, NBC News, Washington.
The House of Representatives voted without dissent today to urge a speedy federal investigation into Kurt Waldheim's alleged Nazi past. This could lead to the former UN Secretary General being barred from the United States. The sponsor of the resolution, Representative Ted Weiss of New York, said each day more and more damning information comes to light about Waldheim's wartime activities. Waldheim is favored to win Austria's June 8th runoff presidential election.
When you need it most, you can get extra strength relief from acid indigestion with extra strength Riopan Plus. In lab tests, it neutralizes twice the acid as regular Maalox or Mylanta. It's that strong. You can also get extra strength relief from heartburn with extra strength Riopan Plus. Ounce for ounce, it neutralizes twice the acid as regular Maalox or Mylanta. It's that strong. Extra strength Riopan Plus. Regular strength, too.
Steady Rider. One of the most popular shocks in America. Designed for thousands of miles of smooth, steady ride over all kinds of roads. It's Sears Steady Rider Shock Absorber. One more way we install confidence at Sears. Now save 35% on another great Steady Rider shock. The Steady Rider RT. Just $12.99 plus installation. But hurry, the sale is on now. There's more for your life at Sears.
You are about to witness a crime. 2 pickpockets moving through a crowd of vacationers.
There, that guy.
Which guy?
In the red shirt.
Yeah.
Waiting for just the right moment to strike. It could happen to you, so don't carry cash, carry American Express traveler's checks. Authorizing refunds 24 hours a day. Don't leave home without them.
Eight survivors of the schooner that sank last week were brought to Puerto Rico today, all in relatively good condition. The Coast Guard continued an air and sea search for the captain and 3 other members of the Pride of Baltimore's crew. NBC's Dennis Murphy reports tonight on the ordeal of those who lived.
A Coast Guard helicopter lowered a basket to the deck of a Norwegian tanker, the ship that had rescued the 8 survivors of the sinking. One by one, the crew members were pulled aboard the chopper. After 4 days at sea in a leaky raft, they were finally safe ashore. Sunburned but looking fit, the survivors were reunited with friends and family. The Baltimore director of the foundation that operates the ship spoke for the crew. Stories of a sailor's nightmare.
Then when they realized she was not going to recover, she went down within a minute, 90 seconds maybe. Very, very quickly.
The Pride of Baltimore was a 9-year-old 2-masted schooner, a replica of a 19th century ship. The schooner was returning to its home port in Chesapeake Bay after a goodwill tour of Europe. Last Wednesday, 300 miles north of San Juan, the schooner was knocked down by sudden winds of up to 90 miles an hour. The schooner, so admired by tourists in Baltimore's Inner Harbor, began sinking in 60 seconds. An inflatable life raft exploded in the rigging before the crew could abandon ship. The survivors left 4 crew members behind. 2, they said, were floating dead in the water. The captain, Armin L. Sasser, swam back to the capsized ship to try to free another life raft. He was last seen diving under the wreck. Earlier this month, El Sasser was interviewed by a Baltimore radio station as the Pride was on her homeward leg.
Now we are preparing and provisioning for a final leg to the Chesapeake Bay of about 1,200 miles. We'll be home soon.
Doctors say the survivors are all in good shape. None needed special medical attention. The Pride of Baltimore was to have led the Tall Ships Parade into New York Harbor this 4th of July. Veteran sailors say the squall that toppled the schooner was a freak, a storm that could have sunk even the most modern of sailing vessels. Dennis Murphy, NBC News, San Juan, Puerto Rico.
NASA announced today that a Navy salvage worker has been disciplined for keeping up to 10 pieces of Challenger wreckage as souvenirs. And it said that it also has started an investigation into claims that sailors on a salvage ship kept some of the recovered belongings of the astronauts. The U.S. Senate today voted to extend daylight saving time by about a month by starting it the first Sunday in April. Backers of the change cited studies indicating that the extension could save energy, reduce traffic deaths, and cut violent crime. The measure must now be reconciled with a House version that would extend daylight saving time even further from late October into November.
Over 100,000 drivers have participated in a series of nationwide surveys to determine the quality of vehicles designed and built in America.
The surveys measured nearly all makes and models. Models as old as 81 and as recent as 84, including ours. And as a group, our Lincolns and our Mercurys and our Ford cars and trucks were found to be the highest quality vehicles designed and built in America. How about that, America? That's what happens when you make quality job one.
Quality is job one.
Your days go by fast. Your work never seems to end.
That's why Whirlpool refrigerators offer a variety of convenient features. Our most advanced model has its own computer control system you can program for maximum cooling. And our famous no-fingerprint doors. Whirlpool refrigerators.
We're making your world a little easier. Whirlpool makes it easier for you.
Holography. IBM is using it to speed you through supermarket lines. Inside this box is the innovative IBM checkout scanner. It uses holography to send out light beams that wrap around almost any package to quickly locate and read the barcode. The code identifies the product to a computer, which has the store's current price list. Holography. Another way IBM puts technology to work for you.
State Department officials have told NBC's Ann Garrels that they complained to Algeria for failing to seize terrorist Mohammed Abu Abbas and hand him over to the U.S. for trial. Abbas is wanted for the hijacking of the Achille Lauro cruise ship and for the murder of Leon Klinghoffer. The officials say that they have confirmed that Abbas was in Algeria for his interview with NBC News, the interview in which he threatened to retaliate against the United States for its raid against Libya. The State Department also announced today that William Wilson has resigned as the ambassador to the Vatican. Wilson is a longtime friend of President Reagan, but this past January, he reportedly was reprimanded by Secretary of State Schultz for making an unauthorized trip to Libya for a private meeting with Muammar Gaddafi. The airlines, of course, would like Americans to buy more tickets for trips to Europe this year, but they're finding them very hard to sell. The reason is terrorism. To fill their empty seats, however, the airlines are stepping up security. And as NBC financial correspondent Mike Jensen reports tonight, they're also selling much harder.
To attract American vacationers, British Airways is giving away $6 million worth of prizes.
And it is the most expensive and extensive campaign in our history, and I would believe in just about any airline's history.
The prizes include use of a Concorde and crew for 100 people for a day, a $100,000 Rolls-Royce, and 5,200 free round-trip tickets to Great Britain, all designed to overcome American fears of terrorism.
I don't want to be rude to the Americans, but this idea that's being put around that somehow it's not safe to come on a holiday here or business here is, as everybody who lives in this country knows, complete rubbish.
Other airlines like Pan Am are fighting back by tightening their security.
We will be providing
the absolute state-of-the-art, best possible security for the Pan Am facilities, Pan Am passengers, and Pan Am employees.
We don't allow screwdrivers to go. What else?
This is ridiculous. The experts say Pan Am's security procedures are now tighter than those of any other airline in the world, with the possible exception of LM. The reason for this crackdown is that almost 2 million Americans have canceled their foreign travel plans because of terrorism.
The reason I'm on a business trip because I was going to go on a holiday, and my wife didn't go on a holiday in London because she didn't want to travel.
Things like that forced American Airlines to set up strict new rules on x-raying both hand baggage and checked bags. Same thing with cargo, air freight. Some travel agents think tightened security is not enough, that the airlines also will have to cut their overseas prices.
Within the next 30 to 60 days, I firmly believe that you're going to see a lot of discounted airfares being made available.
Travel experts say all this is probably too late to help the airlines very much this summer. Most people have already made their vacation plans. The experts do say, however, that if there are no more major terrorist incidents, a big if, Americans may start feeling confident enough to travel overseas next year. Mike Jensen, NBC News, Miami.
This is the busy season for the U.S. Supreme Court, when rulings affecting important parts of American life are issued every Monday before the summer recess. And as John Chancellor points out in his commentary tonight, not even popular presidents know what to expect next. John?
Tom? Most presidents of the United States learn a serious lesson while in office. They learn that they can't count on the Supreme Court to do what they want. Franklin Roosevelt got so mad at the court that he tried and failed to change the size of the court. Since then, presidents have left the structure of the court alone, but they often complain in private about its rulings. Take President Reagan's only appointment to the Supreme Court, Sandra Day O'Connor. Justice O'Connor was chosen not only for her competence and learning, but also because she was philosophically compatible with the president. That's the way it's supposed to work. But the way it really works is that justices have minds of their own and go their own way. Case in point, the Reagan administration wants to cut back on affirmative action laws. It has argued that preferential treatment under these laws should be restricted, limited in their application only to actual victims of discrimination. Yesterday, Justice O'Connor said that affirmative action plans need not be limited just to the victims. And if 4 other justices agree with her in other affirmative action cases, that view will be the law of the land, a view which the administration opposes. It makes you think of what may have been in the minds of the people who wrote the Constitution. They wanted checks and balances more than they wanted efficiency. In a lot of ways, our constitutional system isn't a smooth, well-oiled machine. It is creaky and sometimes quirky, but it is a marvelously protective instrument which guarantees that no part of government can have its way all by itself, which is a great accomplishment, even if it frustrates presidents.
There's a special kind of Cadillac, the new 1986 Seville, the ultimate Cadillac. Very new, very sophisticated, with road manners to match. You could call the 1986 Seville the new essence of elegance. Best of all, it's a Cadillac.
Good posture. You don't think about it until you realize you can lose it. Many women may, due in part to a calcium deficiency. That's why there's Posture, a calcium supplement. Without enough calcium, bones can become weak, but Posture taken daily can help them stay strong. And it's specially made not to produce gas. Don't wait. Eat right, exercise, and take Posture now to help assure good posture later. Also available with vitamin D.
I'm Bryant Gumbel. Tomorrow morning on Today from Savannah, Georgia, we'll check out work life on a cruise ship.
I'm Jane Pauley, also sailing with Walter Cronkite, gospel music, and Gladys Knight.
Tomorrow morning on Today.
We know Dunkin' Donuts are always fresh and come in more varieties than supermarkets.
Excuse me.
But we like to make sure.
Do you have delicious chocolate frosted donuts like Dunkin' Donuts?
No.
Do you have 5 kinds of jelly donuts?
No. Ma'am.
Were these made fresh this morning?
No. Good. Dunkin' Donuts. Up to 52 varieties made fresh day and night. No supermarket can say that.
Small-town America is going through some rough times. The farmers don't have as much money to spend on Main Street. The kids are leaving for bigger cities, but for the folks who stay, there is no other way of life. They don't want it to disappear. So as NBC's Noah Nelson reports tonight, one small town in Oregon figures it may pay to advertise.
Condon, Oregon is a small town that's getting smaller. About 150 miles east of Portland, Condon is suffering from rural decay. Because of low crop prices, wheat farmers are going out of business. And the nearby Air Force radar station was abandoned long ago. In 1969, the population was around 1,400. Now it's about half that much. Still, this town is determined to survive. At the local newspaper, an advertising campaign began. Condon is looking for a few good people.
The campaign was launched in all seriousness. And we actually need some people here to make this little community survive.
So they advertised in big city newspapers, including the Los Angeles Times. Now the letters are pouring in. Someone even as far away as Seoul, Korea, wanted to know what Condon had to offer. Almost anywhere in town you can find people willing to tell you the good things the ad left out.
I'd rather live here than I would in a big town or a big city.
You can wear your arm out driving down out in the country here, everybody waving, you know. You're not sure who you're waving at, but everybody waves.
The town can't boast of its great movie selection or fancy department stores. But people here say you can leave your door open at night.
Right here in the city of Condon, I think committing a crime would be a foreign concept to most of the people in the city. We just don't have burglaries, we don't have violent crimes, people don't get beat up or mugged or anything like that.
You're gonna have to go in the back door.
Because so many families have moved away, about 1 out of every 3 houses is for sale. That means there are some great bargains. This house, for example, is on the market for $16,000. A few weeks ago, this one sold for $5,000. Well, the local high school has only 58 students, but 85% of Condon High School graduates go on to college. The problem is, most never come back to stay. With its ads, Condon would like to attract 10 new families by the end of next year. So far, none have arrived. But the residents here still believe the town has promise. They say Condon is more than just a newspaper ad. Noah Nelson, NBC News, Condon, Oregon.
That's Nightly News for this Tuesday night. I'm Tom Brokaw. I'll see you tomorrow night.
The A-Team saddles up and hits the trail.
Yippee-yi-yo-ki-yay.
In a special 2-hour Wild West showdown.
This worked great in the movie I did.
Then Hunter's in pursuit of a hot lady, Hot Jewels.
Hunter got acquainted with her on the train, and now he's undercover.
But is he in for more than he bargained for?
Be there tonight.
Coming up on tonight's scene at 6, teachers are learning to fight back against lawsuits filed by parents and students. And a Metro police officer is wounded by a ricocheting bullet after a robbery during the night.
Also tonight, the Harpeth Valley Utility District hears from its customers concerning its on-again, off-again service. And we'll look at what it takes.